Hello everyone. In this video, we're picking out and sharing the latest topics about Asia. From one of the most famous Reddit-style forums in Japan. Even if you don't understand Japanese, we've translated everything into English subtitles and audio. So you can join the conversation as if you were in Japan. So, let's dive into the discussions happening in Japan. Japan's public broadcaster, NHK, announced on the 19th that during its Chinese language international radio broadcast, it mistakenly aired news, claiming the Senkaku Islands were Chinese territory. The news was read by an external staff member of Chinese nationality. NHK stated that the content was inappropriate and unrelated to the actual news. The broadcaster has issued a stern warning to the staff member and plans to terminate their contract.
This is practically a declaration of war. It's not just the Chinese guy. NHK's international broadcasting officials should be held accountable too. This guy's probably being hailed as a hero back in mainland China. Using anti-Japanese sentiment to temporarily suppress dissatisfaction with the Chinese Communist Party, it's tragic. Even for the Chinese people. Why is NHK outsourcing broadcasting, which is supposed to be its core business? If they can't do it themselves, they should return our subscription fees. There are over 100 companies around NHK, just for employees who've caused scandals. The fact that this happened on a national broadcast is a major issue. If it were a state-run broadcast, there's no way NHK staff salaries would be 3 times those of national civil servants. Forcing Japanese people to pay license fees, and then inviting foreign threats, Historically, Manchuria is Japanese territory. So they're outsourcing this kind of stuff and funneling money to the Chinese? A stern warning, that's it? Do we even need Chinese language news? They're cutting ties with him. He's fired. They should sue him for damages. It's propaganda. Every country does it. NHK and the Japanese are just too naive to handle the cunning of the Chinese. Wait a minute. What's this Chinese language news? Are they using license fees for this? NHK does international broadcasts, funded by government grants. They claim it's not from license fees, but it's probably running at a loss. If it's Chinese language news, it's only natural to outsource it to Chinese people, right? NHK should be collecting license fees from the Chinese, not from the Japanese. This time it got exposed, but I bet it's happened before. Only those who understand Chinese would notice. If a Japanese staff member in China said, "The Senkaku Islands are Japanese territory," they'd be executed. In a country with laws against treason, it makes sense that they'd be stronger. Right or wrong, that's just how it is. Japanese people now have a solid reason to refuse NHK contracts. For the next 2 years, there's a young Chinese woman at my company who keeps trying to chat with me. But I brush her off. Best to avoid any involvement. NHK is so big that we can't even tell where the Chinese spies are hiding. It's hilarious that despite their anti-Japanese stance, they come to Japan to work. Do they have no pride? From the wealthy to migrant workers, everyone's fleeing the sinking ship to Japan. There's a Chinese guy at my company who says he always cheers for Japan's opponents in sports, hoping Japan loses. Maybe all we need is Netflix in Japan. A university professor once said companies that hire Chinese people are foolish. And he got slammed for it. But he was right. Even the nicest Chinese people will obey government orders to steal trade secrets. I wonder what the Chinese people did during actual Senkaku Islands news broadcasts. This is exactly where AI announcers should be used. Doesn't NHK check broadcasts before they air? Or did they do this on purpose? The statement wasn't in the script, so checking wouldn't have helped. They didn't immediately correct or apologize, so it seems intentional. Japanese and English should be enough. The Chinese can translate it themselves. If they're as smart as they claim, it should be no problem. They won't listen to Chinese language news anyway. NHK needs to be rated. Next, they'll claim Okinawa is part of China too. It's no surprise if a Chinese staff member said this. They have no professional ethics. Like that Chinese person who stole personal information while managing Tokyo's passport system. It feels like they're getting away with everything. Especially with people from China, North Korea, and South Korea. You need to bind them with strict contracts. Otherwise, they'll exploit any loophole. Forget about trusting them. Serving as a pawn for China with Japanese taxpayer money? This should be addressed in the diet. Territory means nothing compared to losing your job. They're well trained. China will probably edit this part and claim Japan's public broadcaster acknowledged Chinese sovereignty. Expect more and more Chinese misbehavior. Just urinating at Yasukuni Shrine won't be enough anymore. I think they'll eventually set fire to shrines. China today feels like Japan during the Imperial Army's rogue days. Last weekend, when a Mexican got stranded on Senkaku Island, Japan's Coast Guard rescued him. Japan is the one effectively controlling the Senkaku Islands. If you're Chinese, saying Japan controls the territory means you'll never be able to return home. Sure, NHK has responsibility for hiring, but Japan is too defenseless against foreigners in every way.
Did you find this video interesting? We'll keep bringing you fun topics from Japan's online community. Please subscribe to the channel and drop some comments.